Okay, so we're live. Hi, everyone. It's Thursday, and we're at the Hoboken Historical Museum. My name is Rand Hoppe. I am the collections manager and technology lead or producer of this live stream. I don't know what I am, but I'm here and I'm working at the Hoboken Historical Museum. We've been presenting to you Hoboken Talks for the last 5 or 6 weeks. This is our 6th show. We are streaming out live to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Please say hello in the comments. We want to hear from you. So we will respond as best we can, and that's what's going on with that. Check out our YouTube channel for the archives of the show. We've got Mark Singleton, John Kahn, Jack Silver, Issa So, and all right. So there we go, Jack. But today I'm here with Leah Loscutoff, and Leah is the Leah, you're going to have to tell me about yourself. Or tell everybody. So here we are.
Right.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you, Rand. I'm happy to be here. I'm the head of archives and special collections at Stevens at the Samuel C. Williams Library.
Oh, all right. Right. So you're kind of we've been collaborating with you with the museum and Stevens for a while, right?
Yes.
It's been we had a Stevens exhibit.
That's right.
A few years ago, right?
2015.
Yeah. So that was a big collaboration that we did. I wasn't working here then, but
that's right. Yeah, you weren't here in 2015.
So that was a great show, and you were a big help and helped make that happen. And you helped Eileen with the New Jersey Women exhibit, right? Her talks, her New Jersey talks that Eileen ran last year, right?
I helped do a little bit of research, what we had in the archives.
Right.
She did a great job with that. So those were fantastic.
I'm saying hello to everybody out on internet land. Please say hello back, because we'd like to know that it's working. I had a little audio challenge in the run-up to getting ready when Leah was here, and it was like, oh, Leah's here, let's check the audio, because that's what we have to do. And then audio trouble. So whatever. That's the great the great world that we live in with doing these live streams. So let's head into the slides. I think we should.
Okay, sure.
We can do that because the idea, Leah pull these slides together, and I kind of kibitz with them a bit, right?
Yeah. Did you want to talk about the room that we're in right now?
Oh,
the background.
Yes, that's right.
People might be wondering,
Please
where is this? This room is the Mary Stuart Stevens Baird room. She is the granddaughter of Edwin A. Stevens, the founder of Stevens. And this room is in the Samuel C. Williams Library in the first floor. And it contains a lot of artifacts, historic artifacts that were donated by the Stevens family and used to be located in the Castle Stevens when the family did live in the castle in Hoboken.
Right. So we have our green screens, so we like to have something interesting and appropriate. 45 minutes ago, Leah emailed me this photo. We made it happen.
Just in time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we have some. So we just answered that, but I just thought I would acknowledge that you were asking on YouTube.
Yes.
Thank you. And Linda says hi on
Hi,
YouTube.
Linda.
Ted says hi on YouTube.
Hi, Ted.
So, all right. So that's please any questions as we go along, or we're happy to share and respond. So all right. So let's see if I can bring up. There you are. Okay, and then I'm going to go over here. Boop. Leah.
All right. So a little bit about myself. I've been working at Stevens for 8 years. It's almost my 8-year anniversary, actually, almost like in a couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
But I grew up in California. This is my hobby. I make Russian nesting dolls. This set in particular, I made for a coworker at Stevens for her son's birthday. And it's just something I like to do on the side. My father is a Russian immigrant. He's from Russia, but his family's from Russia, but he grew up in Iran. And he immigrated to the U.S. when he was about 10 years old. And I was obsessed with Russian nesting dolls when I was growing up. But they never had the kind of sets that I wanted. I'm really into music. And I always wanted, rock bands and things like that. So I decided to make my own eventually. And so I usually make them for friends and family for the most part. And it's just a fun hobby. So, and it's also you can call them. I have a little. My side project is called Rock and Roll Matryoshka. So,
have you done Motorhead?
I've done Lemmy.
You have done
because I love Lemmy. I love Motorhead. I did a set of Lemmy.
Lemmy nested inside himself.
Yeah, the different eras of Lemmy after he passed away, which I think actually was in 2015. He passed away, and I was inspired to do a set of Lemmy. So.
Oh, that's good. I don't know. You must have told me that because that's what popped into my head was to ask you about Lemmy.
Oh, yeah.
I hadn't thought about it at all before the show. Have you considered doing the Stevens family?
You know what? I have, actually. I was going to do it. Stevens celebrated their 150th anniversary, 2020. They were officially established in 1870. And so I was thinking of doing a set of the early Stevens founders, which would be, Edwin, his wife Martha, and then the first 2 presidents, Dr. Morton, who's also my archives crush, which I could talk about in a bit, and President Humphreys, who was the second president, and then Rhodo the duck, the original mascot. Oh. Now it's Attila the duck, but there was an original mascot called Rhodo that was created by the Stute newspaper. By Stevens students.
News to me about Rhodo. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. All right. So, our first slide, can that thing please go away? Thank you. So it's Martha.
So here's Martha. Martha really was the driving force of, establishing Stevens. Edwin left in his will, a bequest to establish an institution of higher education, but he didn't really specify exactly what he wanted to do. So Martha really took his vision and brought it to fruition. She's really, strong, smart, philanthropic woman. She really gave back to the people of Hoboken, so much so that when she passed away in 1899, 5,000 people came to her funeral procession, which I thought was pretty amazing. Wow, she also lived very simply. People never really knew that she was from any kind of status because she just carried herself very humbly, and she was very down to earth, it seemed like to me. I wish we had more documentation in the archives on Martha because we don't have. I wish we had, more letters written by her or anything left in, her voice or just from her written word in general. Yeah. But unfortunately, there's not as much.
Right. Right. And are you? There's a whole cache of papers with the state, right? The Stevens family papers or something is in the historic archives or something. Do you have any idea what's going on over there?
Yeah, that's actually I've asked them. The New Jersey Historical Society in Newark actually has the more, kind of comprehensive collection of the Stevens family papers, which was donated to them, I believe, in the 1940s. And so we don't have that full collection at Stevens.
Right.
We wish we did, but we don't. They have it over there. I have visited the New Jersey Historical Society and done some research, but it's also a massive collection.
Yeah.
And so it's going to take time.
Yeah.
But I have asked the archivist about things on Martha, and they don't really think that they have anything. They have a finding aid that has, folder level descriptions and things like that. But, nothing really, there's nothing from Martha in that, unfortunately.
Oh,
which,
right.
yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
All right.
It is too bad.
She did a lot in town.
She did. Yeah, she really did.
And then what are we? I'm sorry about that little thing that shows up, but we're Dr. Morton.
Oh yes,
your archives crush.
Yes, he is my archives crush. Dr. Henry Morton. He was the first president of Stevens. Martha and her brother Samuel Beer Dodd were the first original board of trustees, and they sought him out. He has more of a chemistry background. He came from the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia. He also, as I started learning more about him, I realized he's a real Renaissance man. He was really kind of popular for being able to relay complex scientific topics to the public, with people from non-scientific backgrounds. So he had a real specialty in that, and making it very exciting for the public. He also was a poet, and we have his original artwork in the archives as well. When he was at college at University of Pennsylvania, he was in a club where they actually completed a full English translation of the Rosetta Stone, which is an ancient hieroglyphic clay tablet, basically. And so he was always interested in history and ancient civilizations, and he also loved art and poetry as well. So, and he also became friends with Andrew Carnegie, who became, a board of trustee member at Stevens until he had passed away. I think he joined the board in 1891, and then he also donated funds to construct the Carnegie Laboratory of Engineering. Yeah. And I love this letter. It was after learning that Dr. Morton had passed away. And he just shows how, friendly they were with one another.
Yeah.
On another interesting note, my husband and I have a cabin up in the Catskills, and we found out that this little tiny town up in Ulster County is actually where Dr. Morton had a house and established a library up there.
Wow.
And I went to go see his gravesite a year and a half ago. So, and this little town called Pine Hill, New York, they know all about Dr. Henry Morton. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was an interesting connection, because I had no idea that whole time that he had a connection with this little town that I go to all the time. Yes. Yeah. Oh, wow. So I went to his gravesite, paid my respect.
Great. Oh yeah. So you mentioned this earlier that it was the celebration last year. There was a nice party. A number of us went there.
Yes.
Fun. There was fun.
That was the last in-person event we had before the pandemic.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we were able to have it. So it happened, last year, celebrating the 150th anniversary. We had great, group effort of different departments, at Stevens, kind of setting up exhibits. And we had this whole passport system where people could, kind of venture through, take their journey through history, basically.
It was great, because it actually, otherwise you'd normally kind of just be tempted to just kind of stay in one place, like near the bar and the food and your friends.
Yeah.
But then, like when you set up this passport thing, and it's like, huh? What's this? I mean, all right, I'll go get a stamp up there, and you walk over, and you're in the Da Vinci room and something.
That's honestly part of the reason why we did it. Because sometimes you set things up and people never go check it out. So
Exactly.
we're like, we're gonna like make sure people go check this out, and they have to get a stamp, and they have to like enter the raffle, and because otherwise they're just gonna hang out by the food and drink.
That was really
You're right.
That was a very good thing. More of that, I would say.
Yeah, it was a super fun event.
It really
was. Yeah.
All right, what's next? Come on, thing. Oh, there we go. So just to prep for the show, I figured we'd put a picture up of the library.
Mm-hmm.
This is like from our archives of a postcard, but just to provide a little context to the viewers that like this is the building on campus, it's the library, that's where Leah is.
Nice. Yeah. Do you know what year this postcard's from? Because I see that structure up front, and it's not there. It's on the side of the building now.
You mean the sculpture?
Yeah.
Oh.
So.
I don't know.
That's.
Yeah. Huh.
That's great.
But yeah, so that up on campus, that's the library, and it's a nice book. Oh, and I put this one in too because I don't know. Again, with trying to provide context, was just the idea that this is the castle, the Stevens family home that is, was knocked down in 59 or something like that, right? 60?
1959. Exactly. December.
And the thing that struck me about this one was that, and you'll see the next slide, was that this was a great shot of it looking east, looking at the west side of it, where you can see where the entrance where the carriages or the cars would come and drop people off, because so many of the views of the castle look like this.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the view. That's what you're looking at when you're on the Hudson and you're looking up at it. And so it's just kind of fun. I just felt like I needed to do that. It made me feel good,
Yeah, no, I like that view. You're exactly right. Like we always show the view of the front of the castle like that, and you don't see the other angle.
So it's just kind of and it was a dorm.
It was a dorm. The Stevens family actually had a home built before this called the Stevens Villa, and then it burned down, I think, in the 1830s. They built this. I feel like it was completed in 1850s.
Okay.
And Robert Stevens, the son of Colonel John, who really helped him with a lot of his inventions, helped to design the castle in many ways. But so from the 1850s until 1911, the family or 1910, they sold the castle to Stevens Institute of Technology. And in 1911, it became the very first space on campus that had dorm rooms, because that was not available until then.
Okay.
And then after that, there was Jacobus that was built in 1937 and Palmer in 1937. But it only housed like 40 men. So you can imagine like most of the students were commuters, from that beginning, time.
All right. Oh, and what? So
this is coming up already.
Yeah. So right. What are the things? So back whenever the pandemic started, and the museum started doing live streams, I started doing all kinds of things. One of the things that I'd done was trivia night, and probably less at the end of the summer or something. Leah was like, "Hey, Ram, let's do trivia night together. Let's do Stevens trivia." So I mean, we're going to do Stevens trivia, but it's really just a way for us to have a conversation about things, And, so again, this is kind of a fun one. Oh, and not only that, but I did the little animation on the multiple choice.
Oh,
so
nice.
What was established in 1870, but when did it actually open to students? 75, 74, 71, 80, or 70? Did it open in the same year? So it was established, and like it might have taken a while for it actually to get. It may have taken a while for it to actually start welcoming students, but let's find out.
You had to build a building first, you had to find faculty members.
Yeah, that's right.
School just doesn't open.
Oh, you know what?
Magically.
We have a question from Teresa. Can Hoboken residents use the library, or what's going on in the pandemic time too?
During the pandemic, we're only students who are admitted on campus taking classes, in person are admitted in the library at this time. Most of the students are kind of working remotely. So because everyone gets a COVID test every single week. So if you're not getting the COVID test every week, then you're not able to be in the campus buildings.
Right.
Normally, when the pandemic is not going on, the library is pretty packed, so we usually can't admit that. Sometime in the summer months, it's a little bit more open because we have a little bit more flexibility because there's not as many students in the library. But also just always, you can email library@stevens.edu any of those questions, and we can work with you and answer them.
All right, thanks. So Roger, who I believe is class of 70, is guessing that his answer is 1870. But let's find out. I'm going to click this button. It is 1871, so it took a while.
Yeah, it took a while. They had to build the very first building, the Edwin A. Stevens building.
Yeah.
It wasn't called the Edwin A. Stevens Hall until 1987, though. It used to just be called the administration building, the A building,
colloquially
the main building.
The A building, right?
Yeah, the old stone mill, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
They had a bunch of different names over the years.
Wow.
So,
I'm just such a big fan of that building.
I love it.
And I just yearn. Forgive me, everybody, but I yearn for it to get some more love. Like I would love for something more like this front. To be returned. They obviously made a decision to fix something and took that away and made it what it is now. And I'd like for
I know.
Maybe, and I know there was a renovation, I believe, in the 80s or 90s, and it could, it's a really cool. That's when they put
the spire. I know that was for the 125th anniversary of Stevens. I think that was 97 or something. Yeah. And the architect for this building is Richard Upjohn, who's actually a really famous architect, and he did Trinity Church in Lower Manhattan.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that was a thing because it was so clearly spireless for so long, and then suddenly it's like, well, look at Stevens go! They're putting the spire on.
Well, it's funny because the spire was in the original design, but I think that I can't remember where I read this, and I don't know exactly who said it, but they thought it was pretentious or something.
You shared that with me in the past. Yeah,
so they nixed it, or it could have been a budget issue, which is probably more likely.
So I'm glad that the spire has been placed on it.
Yeah.
And of course, then there's the bonus answer, which is that we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of women at Stevens.
Yes. Stevens became coeducational in 1971. And this photo is of the 1975 commencement, and alumna Deborah Nass O'Rourke is getting interviewed from the local news.
That's great.
It was a big deal.
It
was, I think Lenore Shupak, who was the very first female to graduate from Stevens, she actually sped up her program, and she completed more courses so she could graduate in 74.
Oh.
before the other women. And I think she had a big write-up in the New York Times as well.
Wow.
So
I think my alma mater, my co-ed in 71 as well. So
yeah.
It was the thing to do. It's good. All right. It's another multiple choice question. Which of the following is one of two buildings on campus currently listed on the National Register of Historic Places? Forgive me for taking the question asking.
Oh no!
Next time you're on number 3. Okay?
You can do it. I'm fine. You're doing a great job.
So, which of the following? All right. So, the Wesley J. House Center, which is the admin building now, right? The big skyscraper, the 13-story.
And it's on Castle Point, where the castle used to be.
That's right. Yeah. Is it the William Walker Hill Gymnasium? One of my favorites on campus.
Yeah.
It's old.
I know.
You can't go wrong with an old building.
You remember the pool in the basement too, right? The pool now it's a sweaty weight room. But that tiled pool looked amazing.
Hoppe House is the president's home.
Yes, right? Exactly.
Also made an appearance in a movie called The Professional, starring Natalie Portman.
Oh.
Did I know that? At the end of that movie, when Natalie Portman's like 12 and she's gone through all this horrible violence, it's time to send in New York. It's time to send her to a fancy school in a nice place or something, and she's knocking on the door at Hoppe House.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. I haven't seen that. I need to see that. Yeah, I didn't know that was in there.
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
it's cool. And the Carnegie Lab of Engineering, which is a really nice lab building.
That's a great building. Yeah.
So
I agree.
That was one of the things when I came on the job here, and although I think I was aware of it before because I was on eBay trolling for historic Hoboken things. I like doing that. There's, I believe, a really nice like Harper's Weekly layout on their big broadsheet newspaper of like drawings or photos or etchings from the Carnegie Lab. Like,
wow!
Look what's going on over in Hoboken. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
So was that who did you say was in the photo?
Her name is Deborah Nass. Nass.
Ah, okay. Yes, and that's right. That's right, Roger. They waited until you left to bring the ladies in. No comment about you. and Roger's also guessing Walker Hall. So let's find out. It is indeed
correct.
Yeah, such a cool building.
I love this building too.
What cracked me up was like looking at on the waterfront. There's a scene where the guys are down doing their like peer, let's get work and blah blah blah. But like the way that the angle is that it kind of looks up and there's the roof of Walker Gym.
Oh wow!
In the movie, and it's like, oh, now I know where they are. Like it's always like trying to place where the shots are,
Yeah.
So it's like, which way is it looking? But then it's like, okay, if they're down at the waterfront trying to do, what they call the shape up or what, to pick the guys for the work for the day. But I can see Walker Hall in the background. I know what direction the camera's pointing.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. I think, maybe you showed that to me before because, like, I know you were doing that one series about like Hoboken
Hollywood. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Hoboken Hollywood. Yeah. No, it's so cool.
Yeah.
And that movie was just on TMC recently.
Oh,
so, yeah.
So yeah, just to go back to what we were mentioning earlier, I definitely remember I moved here in '82.
Okay.
And certainly Stevens is like a great place to go to like get some green, and green and fresh air and trees, stuff like that. So often, even before my wife has been working at Athens since 2001, but even before then, we go there a lot just to take in enjoy the greenery and walk. I remember walking up Wickpen Path and just looking in that window and going like, "There's a pool down there." Like, wow, it's so cool.
So cool. I've only seen photos, so obviously. So,
So.
But yeah, pretty amazing. Walker Gym only made it to the historic registry in 2019.
Oh, wow.
So this is very recent. And I guess you can probably imagine what other building is on the historic registry.
There's two. What is it?
The Edwin A. Stevens Hall.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the A building. Yeah.
With the spire. Fantastic.
With the spire. Yes.
All right. Okay, we've got another one. What famous artist and Stevens alum lived in Castle Stevens? Oh, see, I was going to... lived in Castle Stevens when it was used for dorms. So there's a famous artist who went to Stevens. Who knows?
Isn't that a cool dorm room, though?
Look at that dorm room. You're in somebody's fancy home.
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, dorm rooms don't normally look like that, I would think.
What was that? I think we were looking at a diagram of people who were living in the gatehouse at one point or something. Was there something like that? And there was was it the diagram of the dorm room where it was like a little rectangle and there's Pete?
There was a architectural rendering of the gatehouse which shows how the housing quarters, because people did live in the gatehouse,
right.
Over the years. Yeah. Which seems pretty cool to me, actually.
I know.
That what a great location. You're right on that view.
Yeah. Well, that was like Sam Rexford, the Stevens descendant. And he was in the Zoom chat for I think the Millicent Fenwick talk, or maybe I think it was Eileen's talk, and he was talking about how that one husband was caught climbing out the window of the gatehouse.
Yeah, Carolyn Whippin's first husband. What's his name? Archibald Alexander.
That's right.
He disappeared, and then they thought he was dead, and then he wrote from Switzerland saying, "Hey, I'm not dead." That story is, I know.
And there's a building, named on campus named for his family because she was married to him. Took his name.
Yeah, that was their wedding present. Was
the
Alexander House on campus was the wedding present.
Wow.
Yeah,
and that's been renovated recently.
Yes, it's the intercultural space on campus now, and the Stute office is there. So,
is it going to be that, or was it? You think they might move once the new towers open up?
I can't remember actually.
That's cool. It's a really cool building.
Maybe
it's one of those great.
I love that building. Yeah.
Oh, so yes, it was Alexander Calder, Roger.
And Alexander Calder is in front of the Alexander House.
Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's known to have a good sense of humor, so I feel his smile in that.
Dean Rademacher? You ever heard of Dean Rademacher?
I think you're right. Yeah, I might have heard. I was trying to get some more information about people that lived in the gatehouse, and there was a dean that lived there. Is he the same dean that also saved the anchor from the SS Stevens, I believe?
Okay.
And I think former dean Larry Russ also lived there.
Okay.
That's the only people I know. I don't know for how long.
All right.
Yeah.
And Teresa is commenting about NAS again. So that's interesting. Let us know.
Yeah, if you email me, I can send you a high-res copy. I've been communicating with her lately because we posted that photo on our Stevens Archives Instagram. It got some of the most likes of the year.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And so.
Yeah, your Instagram is fun.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
All right, Leah, now it's time for you to do it. I don't know why we have so many question twos. It's my fault.
Oh, sorry, I don't think it matters. Yeah. Colonel John Stevens was known as the father of the American Railroad and is known for the first public demonstration of a steam locomotive in America, which was done in Hoboken. Yep. What year did that happen?
Oh, it's about the years ago. That's always a challenge.
Yeah.
1830.
Very first demonstration of a steam locomotive.
Why? Oh, well, yeah. I do not know. And I worked on these slides.
Should I say?
No, let's move on. So, yeah, 1825.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe that location where the demonstration happened is about where Stevens Park is, across from Edwin A. Stevens Hall. Or that's my understanding, anyways.
That sounds about right. It may even be a little more downtown.
Maybe, yeah.
We have this one map here where it's like, it's like, really? Did that happen? I mean, it was small, downtown. Yeah. It was like, there wasn't much, like 4th Street was like woods.
Plenty of room for a steam locomotive to demonstrate. They're like, sure, let's put a circular track here. Plenty of room. And we have a replica of the steam locomotive from 1825. We have a replica that was made in 1925 for the 100th anniversary from Pennsylvania Railroad and donated to Stevens. So it's in the library now.
Yeah, actually. Cool. I love it.
Yeah.
And is the original one around? Is it in the Smithsonian or something?
It's in the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
The original. Yeah.
All right. So first, it's question 2. Anyway, the first floating dormitory in America was at Stevens, the SS Demons. Before the ship was refurbished and used as a dormitory, it was used as an attack ship. Oh, true or false? It is used as an attack ship during World War II. Is that true? Was it the floating dormitory a former attack ship in World War II? That's what I'm wondering. That dorm was really cool.
Yeah, if I went to Stevens during that time, that's where I would
want to be there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was engineering, naval engineering, and like, all right, we're going to be right there on the ship.
Yeah, right on the water.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
Apparently, some of the most fun parties at Stevens were on the ship.
Oh,
too.
Yeah, so there it is. Wow, true.
It really was used in World War II. Yes. And then after that, it was used as a cruise liner around the Mediterranean.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then it was refurbished at Bethlehem Steel Yards in Hoboken before it was brought to the pier in 1967.
Okay, come on, people. Everybody knows this one. It's question 2. Would you take it?
Okay, question 2. Again, what famous Hoboken native received an honorary doctorate from Stevens in 1985?
85. I know.
Yeah.
Let's just keep moving. It was Frank Sinatra.
Yes, Frank Sinatra. And he had a really emotional speech,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we have a video of it, actually. He said that he used to run track to increase his lung capacity at Stevens.
Uh-huh.
He didn't go to Stevens, obviously, but he was run on the track when he lived in Hoboken and increased his lung capacity for singing. And so he had fond memories of it. There was also, some people were upset, though, that he got an honorary doctorate because during the time, I think he was getting investigated for maybe ties to organized crime or something. There was
I don't know.
so in the archives there are some interesting letters of people. There's some letters of support, like excitement that he got the honorary doctorate, and then there were some people that were really upset about it.
I think we have a few of those too.
Do you? Yeah.
But
some of them are kind of funny.
It was not Isadora Lois, at least, although a very a famous Hoboken native.
Oh yeah.
She did not receive an honorary
degree
in 1985. Still question 2. I'm just the best. What can I tell you? What a bunch of shenanigans. Okay. Oh, this is a great question. Stevens used to have a bar on campus. What was the name of that bar? Anyone? Now, the interesting thing that I heard was that my landlord said that he was a general contractor in town, and he was the one that told me that. Now, I might be conflating some stuff here, but I know he told me that it was the longest bar in Hoboken.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and was in the house number.
You mean like just physical
length?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
And of course, what I'm concerned might be the conflation is that I then start to think that he helped install it, which may not be the case.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah.
I know I remember him telling me that
I've never heard that.
Long bar. It was a real we had oval bars, but as I think a straight shot bar, it might have been really long. So I'm curious to see what Sal was talking about. So maybe someday I'll, you ever come across something in your travels, keep me in mind. But maybe some other day we'll, take a look at things.
Yeah.
But, Roger, totally rocking it. It's multiple choice. Oh, yeah, Colonel John's Rat Scalar. Yeah, that's the answer. I forgot about the fantastic, the Morton Tavern.
Those are made up, except for the Chatterbox was a real bar in Hoboken that Stevens students used to hang out at. I know that. Okay. But do you remember, I don't know when the Chatterbox closed, but it was, I believe it's where Planet Fitness is now on Washington Street.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, the upstairs. One of my favorite things in Hoboken was that the upstairs of Planet Fitness.
Oh.
Bowling alley.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's the one right on the corner of 6th, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the pizza
parlor. The pizza place,
yeah. Upstairs was a bowling alley. Castle Point Bowl or something like that.
Oh, wow.
More bowling in Hoboken, please. I beg of you. But, yes, the answer was the Rat Scalar. And
yes. I wish I put a photo of, the long bar. Sorry about that. I have many photos. I have many photos.
So long? I don't know.
But look how the guest book is changed.
Yeah.
They don't want anyone to steal it. And also that sign, I don't know what happened to that sign, but it says drinking and thinking. So
fantastic.
It's a very Stevens type of bar.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's question 2, Leah. Which early accomplishment is not attributed to the Stevens family? And this is our last question.
Yes.
So, invented the T-rail and spiked for railroads. Successfully demonstrated the first steam-powered boat on the Hudson River in 1804. Donated the land and funds to establish the Hoboken Public Library. Invented the Tootsie Roll. I don't know. It's a tough one. Question 2 is always the hardest.
I know. That question 2. It's a stumper. A real stumper.
And it is indeed the Tootsie Roll.
Wouldn't that be amazing if they invented the Tootsie Roll, though? What did they not do?
Right? And there's Captain Tootsie from the Sunday Funnies.
That's so cool. Can you remind me the connection of Tootsie Roll and Hoboken?
Tootsie Roll, I think started somewhere else, but they moved to Hoboken, and we actually have an ad where they're announcing their new home, and it's a great photo, and we made prints of it, and they were there. It was Willow and kind of like where the soccer field is now, where the across from over there, by the bridge over there, and 16th and Park, or 16th and Willow.
Oh, okay.
It's the old roll factory, and then there's all kinds of. You can find a lot of merchandise that's fun. Like we have the classic Tootsie Roll bank. And some of them will say Hoboken on it. That's what I guess. I'm actually a big fan of Captain Tootsie, just because I'm a comic book person. So I love the fact that there's CC Beck, or these guys are getting commercial work. So it's just a big. It's kind of like a nexus of all things. I like Hoboken. I like comic books. So I love Captain Tootsie. And I guess there's stories about people like kids going to the factory, and I think it happened in any place where there was like food being prepared, but then uncle or mom or whatever would drop drop a few of the just made Tootsie Rolls, down the fire escape to the kids. There's a few fun stories like that,
When did the factory close here?
I do not know.
Oh, okay.
Offhand.
Yeah, because I was just I was searching your digital collections, and I was like, oh, you guys have a lot of cool Tootsie Roll stuff. So I was like, realizing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they ended up being, it ended up being Coke factories after Tootsie Roll, after Tootsie left, and it was next door to the Macy's Parade Studio, which we had here, which was a cool thing.
We still test the balloons on campus.
Yeah, that's a legacy.
I know. It's pretty cool.
There's Teresa. Her husband's grandfather got off the boat from Italy, walked over to Tootsie Roll factory, and got a job in America.
Oh, wow.
There you go. That's perfect. Thank you, Teresa.
That's great context.
So I think we're at the end of our adventure. Yeah. So let's just make that go away, and we'll just come back and it'll be you and me. It's us in the room. Does anybody have any questions? Tell me. So how did you end up as an archivist? Do you have
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I always loved history growing up, and which is funny because actually my entire family is engineers, which is kind of hilarious.
Wow.
That I'm an archivist at an engineering school. Like my dad's an engineer, my brother, my sister, my cousins, like my uncles, and so. But I always loved history, and I would always go to even historic sites when I was a kid instead of going to the beach in California, which is super weird. And I have a degree in history. That's what I studied when I went to college.
Oh, okay.
But then I started getting a master's in history, and I was like, I don't know if I want to teach history. I started doing, I did an internship at the San Francisco History Center in San Francisco. I'm from the Bay Area, and I just fell in love with archives. And I don't think I realized that you could do this at the job. Yeah. And then it just fits my personality more to be kind of in the back end and help facilitating the research for historians, help preserve and document the history instead of being the actual historian. And so I got my first job at the National Park Service in San Francisco, and I worked there for about 3 years. And then I worked at UC Irvine. And then I moved out to New York because I got a project archivist job at Columbia University.
Oh.
And I worked actually on a project just processing the records of the Woodlawn Cemetery Archive, which is in the Bronx.
Wow.
Yeah. But I love what I do. Like, I feel really lucky to have a job and career that I'm super passionate about. And I have to say, I didn't know anything about Stevens history until I started working there. Like, I didn't, like, even when I went to the interview, I'd never really heard of Stevens until I saw the job posting. But it was funny because I told my dad, I'm like, oh, I'm going to an interview at Stevens Institute of Technology. He's like, oh, yeah, I know that, because he's an engineer. He was like, oh, yeah. And then I was just amazed to learn that we, have such a rich history, just so fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm like learning new things all the time,
Yeah, it's fascinating. So, that's great. And any thoughts about Hoboken? I mean, just what your first impression was and how it might have changed.
I mean, I love Hoboken. I just feel like instantly comfortable here and with the people. Like everyone I work with at Stevens is amazing. Like I have such great colleagues.
Yeah.
I love the Hoboken Historical Museum. You guys have been great colleagues as well. I just feel like people are very collaborative and open and you guys always put on really great events, for a small museum with a small staff, and we're a small staff too where I work, and we just kind of we make it work. I think everyone's just really passionate about what they do, and that kind of comes through,
Yeah, cool. Not everybody in your family was an engineer, though. Somebody who was involved in sports.
Oh, yeah. I have a weird family history. I'm related to two professional athletes. On my dad's side, I'm related to Jungle Jim Loscutoff, who was a basketball player for the Boston Celtics, and he passed away not too long ago.
Wow.
Actually, maybe I'm trying to think. I feel like it might have been 2015 also.
Oh.
His parents were Russian immigrants, and he grew up in San Francisco. And he's a cousin of my dad. And then I'm also related to Bill Dickey from the New York Yankees. That's on my mom's side. My mom has kind of an athletic background, like her whole family. Like my maternal grandfather actually played football for the New York Yankees. There was actually a professional football team called the New York Yankees. Most people don't know that, but if you Google it, yes. Right. It wasn't around for that long.
Yeah.
And then his cousin was Bill Dickey, who's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And
a fun aspect of your life that it's kind of cool to get it out there. If anybody has any questions.
Yeah, they were engineers.
Right. What else? Well, if anybody has any questions, I welcome them. But I don't know. It's been a pretty good show. We answered a lot of question number 2s. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leah. It was a pleasure having you here, and we look forward to always asking you questions, or you asking us questions, or helping each other out. And it's always we have a good relationship, and you're I don't know. Let's we'll keep it going and check out our. What's coming up? I'm gonna move into Hoboken Talk stuff. How does that work? Oh no, not that. One moment, please. Not that. Not that. Oh, thank you. Yep, it is. You're welcome. It's great, and we're all very, very passionate about it. history and Hoboken, all that stuff, Roger. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. And so what do we have coming up? We have Chris Lopez with Bob Foster next week. Chris is somebody who's doing some research into the fires that were in Hoboken in the 70s and 80s. So that'll be interesting. And what else? Well, just check out our YouTube channel and all those things. Push like and follow, and check out our archives on YouTube. And we look forward to seeing you all again. And thanks again, Leah. And
thank you.
We're gonna close it out. Just come by the museum sometime. We're social distancing. We have the end of the postcard exhibit, and we have a great photography upstairs in the upper gallery from Duquan Sweeney. Highly recommended. And well, that's it. Okay, I will. I'm gonna push the button, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.